Here's Mike Pettine, second-year head coach of the Cleveland Browns, on the road after a tough overtime loss against the Denver Broncos. Jeff Fisher now in his 20th season as an NFL head coach. He's hoping to make the playoffs for the first time here in St. Louis. They certainly have a shot at 2-3, and they've already taken down the top two teams in the division. Travis Coons will kick it off for Cleveland. Very accurate field goal kicker, but he will give the Rams some return potential today. Benny Cunningham is the deep man. Stedman Bailey just in front of the end zone. And we're ready to go. Week 7, 2015. Great to have you with us from St. Louis. And it will be Cunningham. And a reverse right out of the gates. And the speedy Stedman Bailey breaks a tackle to the 20, all the way to the 30, cuts it back in. And Jeff Fisher and his special teams, the trickery right away.
Well, he loves to try and get an edge on special teams. Justin Gilbert, who has really done a good job here this season on special teams, had a chance to tackle him down deep, but a nice job of breaking that tackle.
Nick Foles and the Rams, 3 touchdowns against Arizona in week 4. 4 interceptions, however, last game against Green Bay prior to the bye week.
The passing game here has been inconsistent, but you got to think that Nick Foles has to take advantage of a Browns defense that is geared up to stop Todd Gurley.
Gurley the lone back, and a quick hitter to Kenny Britt. An incomplete pass. And let's take a look at the St. Louis Rams offensively. 2 rookies on the right side now. Brown moves over with Havenstein. Roger Saffold is out with shoulder surgery. And there's Todd Gurley. He's had a great run here. This is just his 4th game, his 3rd start. And he's got a chance at an NFL record if he can get to 140 yards rushing today. Rams pack it in tight, and Gurley trying to get the edge, cannot. As Poyer comes in with the tackle, Jordan Poyer, and that'll set up a 3rd down. Defensively, the 3 up front. Danny Shelton, the 12th overall pick, last year's draft out of the University of Washington, hoping to get a big surge out of him. Carlos Dansby with 2 interceptions last week on Peyton Manning, including a pick 6. And a defensive backfield that is banged up here. Desir and Jordan Poyer get the starts today for the injured Joe Hayden and Tashawn Gibson. And there's Jim O'Neill, the coordinator on the defensive side for the Rams. And a 3rd and 14, and Foles hits Cunningham, not nearly enough, and it's going to be a 3 and out to start the day for Nick Foles in St. Louis, and more contact for Nick Foles.
Yeah, this is going to be key for this offense, protection. And the offensive line has had their struggles a little bit, but clean off of the edge right there, again, getting to Nick Foles. But they have to stay out of those 3rd and long situations. That's something that this coaching staff was emphatic about, because Cleveland loves to bring a lot of exotic blitzes.
Now, Foles was hit hard in that Green Bay game, their last game. Benjamin is the deep man. The punter is Johnny Hecker, and he sends Benjamin back to the 11. And a chance at return, and the electrifying Benjamin. There was a flag down, but Benjamin breaking away. And it's Hecker who has to make the tackle, and we'll check on the penalty flag. 56-yard punt for Hecker. Our referee today is Pete Morelli. In his 13th season as an NFL referee, 18th overall as an official in the NFL. And let's see what he has here.
During the return, the illegal block in the back. Number 30, the receiving team, half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
And so Cleveland will start deep near their own end zone. Josh McCown sacked 4 or more times in 4 consecutive games, and Adam, they're trying to give him some room in the pocket here today with that great pass rushing defense.
Another tough assignment for this offense. Last week, the #1 passing defense of the Denver Broncos, and of course that pass rush. He said the challenge for our offense equally today is make sure that we have an answer for the pressure that the St. Louis Rams can bring.
And this drive will start from the 7. First opportunity on the field for McCown, who's been throwing it very well. And right out of the gates, it is Crowell who finds some space. And a nice run to get the Browns offense started. Joe Thomas, in his Browns career, he's played in every game, every snap. He's an 8-time Pro Bowler. Maybe headed to the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. Travis Benjamin, a favorite wide receiver target for Josh McCown. Benjamin coming off that career game with receiving yards and catches. Saw John DeFilippo, the offensive coordinator of the Browns. And a short 2nd and 2 here for Cleveland. And again, it's Crowell. And a first down. Defensively for St. Louis, they have a great front four. Now, Chris Long is out. He's got a knee injury, so William Hayes is in the starting lineup. Aaron Donald, first rounder a couple of years ago, made the Pro Bowl last year. Mark Barron, a defensive back by trade, but now into the linebacking position with Alex Ogletree out. And Janoris Jenkins quickly emerging as a shutdown corner in the NFL. 1st and 10 for Cleveland.
Screen formation.
And hits it out to Gabriel. Ball is down, and it's picked up by McLeod. And McLeod is all the way in. A touchdown for St. Louis. Rodney McLeod picks up the fumble and scores. Janoris Jenkins knocked it free, and McLeod right there to make the play.
Just a great job of Janoris Jenkins reading his keys. 3 receivers lined up to his side with an offset running back.
20-yard touchdown return. James Laurinaitis was having a conversation with us earlier in the week about the defense needing to score some points, and right out of the gates, the Rams are on the board with their defense. A 20-yard touchdown return. The extra point is good, and a 7-0 start. The defense producing. Costly fumble. Taylor Gabriel. Rams on top quickly. Now Rodney McLeod with a fumble recovery for a touchdown. They call him the Angel. He's usually the deep man in the coverage. But a big hit by Janoris Jenkins on Taylor Gabriel. 20-yard touchdown return. The Rams up 7-0 just like that as we just get underway here in St. Louis. And Adam, let's go back to the turnover and the touchdown.
All about film study. When you see 4 receivers to one side of the formation, Janoris Jenkins knows right now there's a great chance that there's going to be a bubble screen, and there is no hesitation. They can't get the block on there. He shoots his gun, and then McLeod is right there on the spot to give him a defensive touchdown. That's 2 defensive touchdowns 2 weeks in a row for the Cleveland Browns offense.
Now Greg Williams, he knew there was some opportunities there. He's raving about Janoris Jenkins and the kind of lockdown cornerback he can be in coverage. That time he put a big hit on to force the fumble. Duke Johnson in the backfield, and McCown gives it to him, and they get a surge from Ayers, and the Rams string it out, and that'll be a loss. TJ McDonald cleans it up. But that Rams front line back in the backfield quickly.
Yeah, they're going to have to deal with penetration. That's what this defensive line does so well. Eugene Sims fights off of the block, beats the tight end, gets the penetration back there. And then that secondary. This secondary, you watch them in the last 2 weeks, have been very aggressive. You see the safeties down there in the box, and then again, Janoris Jenkins making his presence felt.
That'll set up a 2nd and 13 for Cleveland. Gabriel in motion, McCown. And McCown, a quick hitter. There's his favorite target in the middle, as Adam said. Gary Barnidge, and Laurinaitis with the tackle. What a season Gary Barnidge is having in a contract year.
It's pretty interesting because you watch him on tape, and I asked Mike Pettine this: if you're a defensive coordinator and you see Gary Barnidge, well, how do you game plan for him? And traditionally, that's not the kind of guy you game plan, but at the end of the game on the stat sheet, he's the guy that ends up killing your defense.
30-year-old vet out of Louisville and getting some opportunities now, making the most of them. Here's Duke Johnson, and good yardage on the run on the first down play for Cleveland. Now Mike Pettine, his running game as far as yards per carry, currently 26th in the NFL, but the Browns, Adam, they've been in so many games they feel like they're right on the verge of it. Browns fans have heard this before, but they're one step away from actually putting some wins together and having the kind of season they think they can have with this team.
Both teams really feel the same way about their teams. A few plays here and there, but they have a chance to go here on the run in the next few.
Big Johnson, and he's wrapped up quickly. That is Mark Barron, who is a story today and part of the matchups to watch. A defensive back playing linebacker.
I think I know that position quite well. He does a lot of the things that I used to do when I played, but this is going to be the key for him against Cleveland. In the last few games, he's played against single back offenses, but Cleveland likes to play with a fullback inside. So the run keys are going to be diluted a little bit, but a great job being aggressive, seeing the play and making the tackle.
Fourth in the NFL, the Browns, this is where McCown shines. He has the top passer rating of the NFL on third down. It's 3rd and 8. And McCown is bottled up. Is the ball loose? It is. And the Rams have it. St. Louis with a fumble recovery at the 25. Akeem Ayers. And it was Robert Quinn who batted it down. And William Hayes got a piece as well. And another turnover for the Browns offense.
Now, I think it was William Hayes coming off of McCown's right side that came in there and got the sack. You know, it's interesting, talking to Greg Williams 2 weeks ago against the Arizona Cardinals, they came out and they blitzed. They brought a lot of pressure. But 2 weeks ago against Green Bay, they played at base and they let that front get going. And here today, again, letting that front four get after the quarterback and come through with a big play.
And it was reviewed. It is confirmed. William Hayes, who is starting for Chris Long. And another costly turnover for Cleveland. Can the Rams take advantage? It was a fumble recovery for a touchdown, the first one, and here's Gurley powering near the 20-yard line. Gurley's gone for over 300 yards in his first 2 NFL starts. He's only 21 years of age, and a guy that the Rams drafted with an ACL injury, was recovering from an ACL tear, which happened in October at the University of Georgia. They bypassed some offensive line help to go with Gurley, and here he is. His first game, week 4, now his 3rd straight start. Foles to Gurley once again, and he's bottled up. That'll be a loss for St. Louis.
That's a really good play up front by Randy Starks. And when you look at Cleveland Browns defense, a lot's been talked about their inability to be able to stop the run. And a big part of that is their ability to get off blocks. They've been in great position, but they've failed to finish at the point of attack. That time Randy Stark got off the block and made a play in the backfield. The second time this game now, a tackle for a loss for this Cleveland Browns rushing defense.
Gurley's out, Benny Cunningham in there. It's very good out of the backfield. In the passing game, in there to block this time. Foles shuffling his feet under duress. And he hits Jared Cook. That won't be nearly enough. Armonte Bryant with good pressure there for Cleveland.
That's a great job by Mike Pettine's defense standing up. They've had a lot of adversity here so far, the Cleveland Browns. You get a defensive touchdown by the St. Louis Rams, puts you down by 7 points. A quick turnover, sack strip by your offense, and the defense does what they have to do, holding the St. Louis Rams to just a field goal try.
The power leg of Greg Zuerlein. This will be from 39 yards. And a kicker that Mike Pettine calls Legatron. No problem, with ease. 2 turnovers have resulted in points. 3 points after the fumble by McCown, and the Rams are up 10-0 in the first quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. McDonald's, now serving all-day breakfast. And by Kelley Blue Book. Find out what you should pay for your next new car at KBB.com.
Cloudy Sunday afternoon, the old courthouse and the gateway to the west, the famous arch. 2 weeks, 2 top teams. The Dolphins meet Brady and the Patriots on CBS and NFL Network. And then the Browns meet the unbeaten Bengals only on NFL Network. Cleveland Browns in a stretch of games now where they're going to play 3 games in 12 days. Some of the nuggets for Miami and New England. Miami leading that all-time series, but New England has dominated as of late, and they remain undefeated this season. Zuerlein will kick it off. A touchdown and a field goal for the Rams, both coming on turnovers. Justin Gilbert is back deep, and you rarely get a return with Zuerlein kicking off. So McCown is back. 2 fumbles by the Browns to start this game. Cleveland ball after this. Back in St. Louis, how about our keys to the game, Adam?
Well, St. Louis has one of the best red zone defenses in the National Football League. You got to get touchdown. We talked about the importance of stopping Todd Gurley. Nick Foles has to make plays in the passing game, and defensively, you've done a good job all season, but this Cleveland Browns offense loves to get big plays. You got to put a lid on it.
It's Isaiah Crowell in the backfield, and McCown wanting to pass, flushes out, and McCown puts a move on McDonald, and good yardage there for Josh McCown. Be close to a first down. He comes up just short.
A really good job by McCown avoiding the penetration right here and trying to keep his eyes downfield. Greg Williams dials up an inside blitz. McCown is able to break contain, and a nice little move out there in the open field on McDonald to pick up some extra yards.
The nimble 36-year-old Josh McCown. Now with his 17, hands off to Crowell. And not much there for the Browns running game. Now James Laurinaitis anchoring the middle of that linebacking core, and it was interesting talking to him about defensive scores. He said, what's the self-scout in the bye week? What do you need to do better as a defense? And he pointed to that fact. We need to make contributions with points defensively, and right out of the gates they do that.
Yeah, they talked about Green Bay. The difference between their defense and Green Bay's is the fact that they scored on defense, and that was a big point of emphasis. They came out here, 2 turnovers in the first 2 drives. Excellent job.
That's Barnidge in motion, and a quick hitter out of the backfield. Duke Johnson, a very good receiver out of the backfield, and he tippy-toes down, and a big gainer for Cleveland. So Duke Johnson, who is a major weapon as a receiver, and a 21-yard gain for Pettine's offense.
Testing the eye discipline of the St. Louis Rams defense. They were a little bit late lining up. Duke Johnson aligned at the tailback position, gets out to the flat, and has the wheels to outrace that St. Louis defense.
Johnson had a shoulder injury late last week, came back fine. At 38 yards, believe it or not, he was the leading rusher for Cleveland against that very good Denver defense. Crowell is back in there. Browns try to use a 3 running back system. So far, just 2 have carried the ball, and Crowell is bottled up quickly by the Rams. Nick Fairley in there with the tackle. There's Johnny Manziel. Much publicized incident last week. The NFL conducting an investigation into the matter to determine if discipline is necessary. But Adam, for now, Manziel remains the backup. Mike Pettine and the Browns are saying he has been A+ in the compound, in the complex, and they're hoping that he can continue on this march.
He did a great job in that Tennessee game where he came in as the starter, but Josh McCown has been great for this offense.
McCown fires to the sideline. That is the other tight end, Dre. So Jim Dre with a catch. That'll set up 3rd down. Tremaine Johnson on the coverage.
And one of the things that Josh McCown talked about offensively is the need to get the ball out of their hands quickly. And last week against the Denver Broncos, they kept their backs and tight ends in a lot of protection sets. And they felt like today they wanted to release them in the passing routes. He felt like running backs on 3rd downs were going to be a big part of this offense.
Browns have their power runner, Robert Turbin, in the backfield with McCown. Browns without Rob Hauser this week, their tight end. Now with a hamstring injury and flushed quickly, but a screen set up. Here's Turbin, and Turbin is wrestled down. The ball comes free, but he was out of bounds. There is a flag down on the far sideline. It was Mark Barron who made the tackle.
Offside. Number 94, defense lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, repeat, 3rd down.
Well, great pressure inside. This is an all-out blitz, and Mark Barron is supposed to be the outside blitzer, but he peels off and did a great job recognizing the screen. But Robert Quinn trying to get a jump too fast, lines up in the neutral zone, and now gives the Cleveland Browns another chance, this time 3rd and short.
3rd and 2 officially. Chance for the Rams to get the ball back. The Browns hope to take advantage here. Duke Johnson in the backfield. And McCown, another quick hitter. A flag is down quickly. C.J. McDonald on the coverage with Barnidge as the intended receiver.
Offside, number 95 defense, 5-yard penalty. And the result of the penalty is a first down.
And back-to-back offside penalties. Quinn and now Hayes. And the Browns have a new set of downs.
You're going to see Hayes right here. And they're just trying to get a jump. This defensive line wants to get off on the football and get to the quarterback. The 2 critical mistakes, 2 big 3rd down stops. You know how hard it is to do that as a defense? You're off the field twice, but now you give the Browns some extra life. And most of the time when you commit a defensive penalty, when you give a team a first down, that greatly increases their chances of scoring.
Now, the run defense has been a question for St. Louis, but they are a top 10 pass defense. This is a run to Crowell, and he just finds nothing there. Michael Brockers leading the surge for St. Louis. It's interesting, a team that is so good in the Rams with their defensive front and in the pass rush, but yet they do give up some big plays in the running game.
Well, they have. They've kind of been feast or famine a little bit, and I think those plays go back to that Washington game where the Redskins really did a good job of scheming up that defense. But since that game, they've kind of settled into who they want to be and have really done a good job of stopping the big plays against them.
John DeFilippo saying no real superstars, but a very heavy playbook, and that's a connect to Barnidge, whose helmet comes off. And a foot to the face. C.J. McDonald on the coverage. But again, McCown connects with Barnidge, who did not have a catch in the first half of last week's game against Denver. That's a 12-yard gain.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a communication issue right now in the Rams secondary. That time T.J. McDonald backed up at the last second. He wasn't able to get up over that traffic, and Barnidge catches an easy pass in the flat. You've got to be more aggressive in your coverage techniques and not allow that much cushion.
Well, the Rams have the lead. A couple of fumbles that put them on top 10-0, but Cleveland has the time of possession thus far. And this is a long possession here. More activity. McCown in trouble. Gets it loose to Hardline. And McCown able to find Hardline, and a nice little gain. What looked like was headed for a loss for Cleveland.
Up inside. Look at Aaron Donald work. I mean, just an excellent job beating the right guard, or the right tackle right there, Mitchell Schwartz. But McCown doing a good job of evading that pressure, getting the ball out of his hands, and making something out of nothing.
This drive started on the 8-yard line. This is the 9th play of the drive. You see the balance between the two. 4 passes, 4 rushes. And McCown swings it out. That's Hardline again, and he's tripped up. Beautiful play by Jenkins. And that's going to be short of a first down.
Yeah, great play outside. Travis Benjamin had a chance. That was the key block, and if he gets that block, then they're going to be able to get it. But you see again Jenkins at the top of the screen right there, reads his keys, gets off the cut block, and makes a terrific tackle right there. That is excellent job outside by Jenkins. Rams defense, one of the best in the National Football League in red zone, not allowing touchdowns.
10 of those 16 plays on this drive as McCown pushes forward and should have enough for a first down. Spot right on the line, and that will be a first down. So a couple of penalties lead to a first down. Now in short yardage, the Browns keep the drive alive for Mike Pettin.
Yeah, that's got to be very frustrating for Jeff Fisher and Greg Williams when he had a chance to get off the field. But credit the Cleveland Browns. You know, they got hurt early in this game. 2 quick turnovers, but they've been able to regroup, get down the field, and now put their offense in a scoring situation.
Hardline with a couple of catches. Duke Johnson in the backfield with him. And a weapon out of the backfield. He hits him at the 20, and a stiff arm goes nowhere. Excellent tackle by Tremaine Johnson, who had an interception against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in Week 5. A couple of picks this year. That was a good tackle to bring down with a loss of 2. I think the Browns will be content to wind this one down in the end of the first quarter. So Cleveland marching along, a drive that started at the 8-yard line. They're knocking at the door. They're down 10-0. It's the NFL on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Lexus IS200 Turbo and IS300 all-wheel drive. And by Bud Light. Stay in the game and drink responsibly.
Now, a great crew led in the truck by Jim Rickoff, Chris Vincent, our director, and with NFL Mobile. Watch local and primetime NFL games live on your smartphone. Learn more at NFL.com/mobile. Long drive for Cleveland that started at the 20-yard line. The quarter expires quarter number 2, and Cleveland and McCown 8 for 8 for 55 yards throwing the ball thus far. And a quick hitter to Benjamin. Benjamin inside the 10. Tremaine Johnson on the tackle.
The Rams really haven't had to do much in this game. They got the early touchdown there. They got their second drive of the game in enemy territory. But Cleveland has had a chance now to put together a pretty good drive here. But again, as we go back to keys to the game, the Rams defense very stingy in this part of the field. Do not give up touchdowns. Only 36% on the season. Right now the Browns have to come away with 7 points.
Empty backfield as Duke Johnson split wide, the running back. 6 different receivers have caught a pass. McCown's looking for another one, and McCown's will tuck it, and out of bounds he goes. Aaron Donald with the push up the middle. And McCown goes tumbling. Let's check out the end of this play here. McCown just trying to slow it down, and he slips. That's the part that's not covered by the turf. That's just concrete there. And McCown looks like he hurt his right arm. That elbow is stinging a little bit. Johnny Manziel wondering if he needs to get ready. So this will set up a 25-yard field goal. Travis Coons has not missed this year, and he remains perfect. Well, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on McCown, who took a spill at the end of that play. The Browns get 3 out of that. Well, earlier today, during player introductions, 50 women who have fought or are currently fighting breast cancer formed a survivor tunnel that players ran through as the team took the field. Join in the fight against breast cancer and find out how you can help make a crucial catch. Share this message with friends and loved ones at NFL.com/pink. And the pink is on display all month long here in the NFL. Cleveland coming away with a field goal, a 14-play drive that lasted nearly 8.5 minutes. And judging by that posture, McCown, who took a spill right there out of bounds, looks like he's all right. Coons will kick it off, and a chance at a return for Benny Cunningham. And across the 20, taken down at the 23. So now Nick Foles. The Rams have hardly been on the field, yet they lead 10-3. Foles leads the charge after this. Rams take over, up 10-3, scoring on a defensive touchdown, and a pitch to Gurley. Gurley very fast. Oh, what a hurdle, and a first down for Todd Gurley going upstairs. And a big gainer for Todd Gurley. Jordan Pointer got hurdled there by the big, powerful running back.
Well, great job, and watch Greg Robinson, the tackle, get up to the linebacker. This is just trying to get Gurley outside. Speed on the rookie Nate Orchard. They fake the run inside, get the quick pitch out of there, and then you see Gurley, sans knee brace, for the very first time this season, goes up over the top.
That injured left knee, ACL surgery last year. First game without that brace, and They power up the middle. And what are you seeing from the Rams run defense here, Adam?
Well, up until that last play where Gurley was able to get to the edge, they've been trying to attack the weakness of this Browns defense, and that's been the edge. But the Browns getting great penetration so far in this game. So look for the Rams to maybe try and massage the inside a little bit, and then they can work that play action game off of it.
Now, prior to that big gainer by Gurley, he had a negative rushing total, just -2 in his first few possessions. Second long and a quick hitter to Tavon Austin. And Austin brought down by Paul Kruger, had a good piece of the football there as well. That's a guy that the Rams want to get in as much as they can, a very versatile receiver.
So they haven't been on the field that much in this game, but I expect here if they can get some first downs, to Tavon Austin to be a big part of that, because they like to get him going early. You see him line up in the backfield at slot receiver. They take him on jet sweeps. They get a lot of creative ways to get him the ball to see if he can make something happen.
Rams looking for their first third down conversion of the day. And Foles has to arc one with the defense coming. That was intended for Austin. And that's going to be a 3 and out for Nick Foles and the St. Louis Rams. The Rams offense averaging just over 300 yards per game as a total offense. That's last in the NFL.
And they just haven't been able to find their rhythm so far in this game. Credit Cleveland for coming out and being tough against the run, because that's really what the Rams want to do. They want to be able to pound this defense, but so far the Browns stepping up.
Hector's first punt went for 57. That's Benjamin back there. Looks like he mishit it a little bit, but it's going to take a Rams roll and right down there near the end zone. And this is going to pin the Browns back inside the 1. And a 59-yard punt with a very friendly roll for Johnny Hekker.
59-yard punt for Johnny Hekker.
Well, they'll take a look, but this one is going to pin the Browns back deep. And another drive starts near their end zone. How low can you go? 10-3, the Rams have the lead. The Browns will start with the ball on their 1-yard line. McCown is back out there. Actually, they moved it to the 4, by the way. You see the numbers for Josh McCown. 9 for 9 and 65 yards, Adam. So the officials took a look during the timeout, moved it from the 1 to the 4, and that's where the Browns will start this drive. They've had a drive start from the 8-yard line that resulted in a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Well, one thing about Josh McCown is that he is a resilient quarterback and he's able to bounce back. And after 2 very poor drives, he came back tough. He was pressured, avoiding the pressure, getting outside the pocket, making plays downfield, got the offense in a place where they were in a scoring situation, and then didn't account for that defender right there, Brian. But Josh McCown is a tough guy and can bounce back from adversity.
Second down and 8. McCown fires it toward the sideline and it bottled up quickly. That was Jackson on Gabriel. Time for an update in New York. Let's check in with JB.
Hey, Brian, Harvard to TCU.
Absolutely. Ryan Fitzpatrick takes the team on a 14-play, 83 drive, capped off by a 5-yard catch from Jeremy Curley. Jets up 10-3 in New England.
That early in the second quarter play back to Brian Anderson and Adam Archuleta.
All right, JB and Bart, thank you. And now we're set up for a 3rd and 5 here for Cleveland. The pound has traveled down to St. Louis. Cleveland 2 out of 4 on 3rd down conversions. And McCown had a hand across him and caught at the 10, but that is going to be short of a 1st down for the Browns, and the Rams hold serve.
Eugene Sims comes off of this edge in a track stance. I mean, he's right there. It looks like the left guard, Joe Bitonio, did not pick up the pressure. Miscommunication on that left side between Thomas and Bitonio. And Sims forces McCown to get rid of the ball early. Nice aggressive defense from Greg Williams.
Yeah, good work by LaMarcus Joyner. Did very well matching up with Randall Cobb at Green Bay 2 weeks ago. This is Austin, just inside the 40, and he gets near the 50-yard line. Kirksey on the tackle, a 55-yard punt. That's an 11-yard return for Tavon Austin. Rams ball after this.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Watch live primetime games with NFL Mobile only on Verizon. Charles Schwab. Own your tomorrow. And by Acura, the leading automotive brand in safety performance.
Week 7 of the NFL. It started early this morning, right? Great day of football today. Rams in possession here. Foles looking more downfield, but the first connection with Jared Cook. And that is incomplete. He was out of bounds. Set up 2nd and 10. Say week 7 continues later today on Fox. And then tonight with Sunday Night Football on NBC. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for Monday Night Football on ESPN. Ravens Cardinals. The Rams have a win over Arizona this year. Matter of fact, they've beaten Arizona and Seattle this season. In the division of hope in the NFC West. And
False start, number 73 offense, 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Greg Robinson. All right, take us through it here, Adam.
Well, you think the Cleveland Browns are fired up to stop the rookie number 30. They came out today so far and have been getting maximum penetration up front and leaving no room for the Rams to get their ground game going. Outside of that one run by Todd Gurley there on that last drive, they have done a great job of swarming that Rams running attack.
Gurley with just 9 yards on 5 attempts. He's in the backfield, and Foles hits him, and the ball's in and out of his hands. It's one area that Jeff Fisher talked to us about earlier this week, trying to get Gurley into the passing game a little bit out of the backfield.
Yeah, so much has been said before this game about the Browns and their rush defense and the Rams and Todd Gurley. But here's the thing, if you're one-dimensional and you can't get that defense to loosen up and give some room underneath, then it's going to be hard to run the ball. And right now the Rams are not threatening the secondary of the Cleveland Browns, and they're able to tee off.
It'll be a 3rd and 15 for Foles. He's got some time here. And Foles with the deep ball. He's got a big arm. And the pass is caught, but he's out of bounds. And it looked like Brian Quick, even before he made the catch, stepped out of bounds.
Number 73 offense.
Flag on the play. There is a
10-yard
holding.
penalty, still 3rd down.
So a hold for Greg Robinson, who has already jumped. And the penalty
4th down.
will set up a 4th down.
Well, not only was it a hold, but Quick stepped out of bounds before he caught the ball. So that would have been a foul, because if you go out of bounds as a wide receiver, you cannot be the first one to touch that pass. So a double foul right there. Excellent effort at the end of the catch, but non-play.
Now right there, he steps out of bounds.
Terrific effort downfield, but all for nothing.
And so Hecker with his 3rd punt. He's hit for 57 and 55. And a high spiraling punt down into the corner. Fair catch called Travis Benjamin. And that'll be a 47-yard punt, and McCown is back. It's the Rams 10, the Browns 3, the NFL this afternoon on CBS. Well, it is time for Arch's Angle, and my partner Adam Archuleta had 3 interceptions right here in the Dome. Had some terrific years here with the Rams. 0-2 against the Giants, 0-3 against the Bengals, and then 0-5, an 85-yard touchdown return, a pick 6 against Fisher's Titans. Those are good memories, man. Welcome back to St. Louis.
There you go. I was wondering why you didn't mention my sacks. Everybody wants to talk about the interceptions.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the sacks right there. Come on, Brian.
Well done, and we're looking for number 31 up there in the Ring of Honor. It's plans are in place. Maurice Alexander's wearing your number for now, but I'm sure that will be rectified at some point. Welcome back to St. Louis. As Crowell will carry for Cleveland, and there's another drive that starts at the 10 or inside the 10. That's the 3rd time today. Ayers is down, clutching at his right arm, right shoulder maybe. So with Ayers on the field, an injury timeout, we will step aside.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV.
Oh, nice little tussle there. The USA Rugby League at Forest Park. Not too far from here. Helping us get ready for week 7. The Browns and the Rams. First time these two teams have matched up since 11. And just the third time in the last 15 years. 10-3 St. Louis. And McCown's having a good passing day. Matter of fact, that is his first incomplete pass. Had been 11 for 11. And he's hit 7 different receivers today. Say it's Super Monday on CBS, beginning with TV's #1 comedy, The Big Bang Theory. It's followed by the premiere of Supergirl. Then stay tuned for the Super Geniuses of Scorpion. It's all new Super Monday tomorrow on CBS. 3rd and 7 for the Browns. And whistles, a flag comes in.
False start, number 73 offense. 5-yard penalty remains, 3rd down.
Well, Joe Thomas, guy that doesn't make many mistakes. 8 consecutive Pro Bowl appearances. And that's going to back Mike Pettine's Browns back inside the 10. That'll put him at the 7.
Tough part of the field, Brian, to be aggressive here inside your 10-yard line.
Crowell in the backfield. And another whistle, another flag comes in.
False start, number 72 offense. Half the distance to the goal is still 3rd down.
Now back-to-back penalties out of that Browns offensive line.
Yeah, it's going to be Mitchell Schwartz right there, number 72. Had a pretty good game last week against that pass rush of the Denver Broncos, but gets going a little bit too early right there. Back-to-back penalties, tough.
3rd penalty for the Browns will set up a 3rd and 16. And now it's Duke Johnson in the backfield with McCown. And McCown flushed out. McCown's going to tuck it and run, and across the 10-yard line, down he goes. And time to punt for the Cleveland Browns. LaMarcus Joyner on the tackle.
Well, it's a good job by McCown because this part of the field right here, there's really no upside in challenging down the field and making a mistake. You've already given up 2 turnovers here in your own territory, so you just try and do as much as you possibly can. But the Cleveland Browns having tough field position here. The Rams, on the other hand, have been in great shape. Now offensively, they have to find a way to do something with this great fortune.
Now the Browns have started at the 8. They've started at the 4. There's the Pro Bowl punter, Andy Lee. They're going to give Austin a chance to return it here. Tavon Austin heading left. Austin looking for a block. He's got a lot of speed, but can't quite get the corner. And that's where St. Louis will take over just past the 40-yard line, 51-yard punt. Hey, Saturday, the SEC on CBS rolls out the best game from the best conference. It's a rivalry that's a whole other thing. This one gets so heated it's played on neutral turf. The Gators throw down with the Bulldogs. The hoopla begins with college football today at 3 Eastern. Now Nick Foles, Todd Gurley, and the Rams offense have not done much. Foles has only thrown for 12 yards. Gurley's only rushed for 9 yards. But the Rams lead at 10-3 on a couple of Browns fumbles deep in their own end. Play action. Harkey's got it. Very little used receiver, normally a blocker. And Harkey with a catch. The ebbs and flows of Nick Foles' career, that Pro Bowl season of 2013 is the gold standard for him.
Yeah, the big thing you look at with Foles and what made him so good that season was his ability to take care of the football. And that's been a big part of his game. But you got to remember, this is a much different style of offense that he was used to back in Philadelphia. taking care of the football and challenging defenses downfield is something that he has to do here in this game against the Browns.
Back under center for the first time this much since the Andy Reid days, as Gurley with a quick hitter. He finds a little bit of space. Christian Kirksey on the tackle, trying to get Gurley going. Now, in his first 2 starts, Gurley has been a slow starter, but he's picked up his big yards in the second half.
He does a good job of hitting the home run ball. When that opportunity is there, he knows how to hit that extra gear. This time, the Rams using a fullback and trying to test the interior of that Cleveland front.
Gurley, 6 carries for 15 yards thus far, and he'll get it again. And Gurley out to the 43-yard line, 47-yard line, I should say. Christian Kirksey there once again. He and Poyer combining on the tackle. Rams had a fumble recovery for a touchdown early in the first quarter. Rodney McLeod, after a Janoris Jenkins hit on Taylor Gabriel, had another fumble recovery that resulted in a field goal. Gurley finds the edge. Here's Gurley. And Gurley able to stay on his feet and surge ahead. Gurley near the 30-yard line. Tramon Williams on the tackle. The power and the speed and a 15-yard gain.
A great kick down right here. Then you're going to get the center on the pool. Tim Barnes hits the perimeter, and Gurley does a great job of setting up the linebacker and then bursting to the outside. You got a great block by Tavon Austin at the next level, and there you go, a great run on 3rd down by Gurley.
The 10th pick overall in this past summer's draft. Todd Gurley, the highest picked running back. Last running back pick higher than Gurley was Trent Richardson back in 2012. And this is Cunningham. And nothing there for Benny Cunningham. Will set up 2nd down for St. Louis. A reminder coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. You can join JB, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, as well as a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and the NFL Network. It's all coming up. Verizon Halftime Report.
Going back to that run by Gurley, you see how he set up that linebacker, just that subtle little move that got him to hesitate, and then he broke off of his center. I mean, those are the little things that he does so well in his young career.
It's still Cunningham in the backfield for now in 2nd and 11. Play action, falls, rifles one to Cook, and the ball is loose, and the Browns have it. Poyer just can't get to his feet. That is a complete pass and a fumble by Jared Cook.
Well, that's got to be very disappointing right there. Nick Foles doing a great job of double clutching right there. Carlos Dansby, who had 2 interceptions last week against the Denver Broncos, was right there. Foles held it, gets it to Cook, who has been inconsistent, and then Dante Whitner comes over, punches that ball out, and gives the Browns a huge turnover.
Big play by Whitner. Poyer, you could tell if he could just get to his feet, he had a chance. Had a fumble return. Looks like a hit by Foles. Paul Kruger got a piece of Foles.
And Jared Cook, going back to him, you know, he came here, he had 2 very consistent years last year, was supposed to be a big play element to this offense, has struggled a little bit with drops, but right there a chance to really get this offense going right there, in a critical fumble in Cleveland Brown territory.
Jared Cook for Jeff Fisher, he has been their top receiver each of the last 2 years. But it is Poyer who comes away with the fumble. And a giveaway for St. Louis sets up Cleveland at the 16-yard line. Browns bunch it up. Now send Hardline in motion. McCown, and a bad route, and he is level. Hardline is dropped by Trumaine Johnson. And miscommunication between quarterback and receiver.
Number 97 defense lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
That one's on Eugene Sims.
Man, another one. This defensive line, again, that's 3 early in this game.
Yeah, the Rams have back-to-back penalties from their defensive line that led to a 1st down. As Johnson a little shaken up on the sideline. So an injury timeout for St. Louis. We will step aside from the Dome. 10-3 Rams.
Big matchups today in this game. Janoris Jenkins against Travis Benjamin, who has been really flourishing as a complete receiver, dominating outside the numbers. But so far today, the best cover man on the St. Louis Rams defense, Janoris Jenkins, locking things up outside. And I think if you're the Browns, you have to look at maybe some other matchups. Taylor Gabriel has to win inside against LaMarcus Joyner, because it's going to be a tough call today for Benjamin to get open against Jenkins.
Now he's only been targeted twice, has one catch for 10 yards. 1st and 5 after the St. Louis penalty, and out of the backfield is Duke Johnson. And a first down for Cleveland. Johnson still on his feet. And the Browns will move the chains. 4:03 remaining in the first half. 14 rushes, 14 passes. Very balanced effort today for Mike Pettin and his offensive coordinator, John DeFilippo. McCown's had a nice day throwing the ball. He's 12 out of 13. A lot of short, quick hitters. Only 81 yards, but 12 completions. Hands it to Duke Johnson. And he's met by James Laurinaitis. Hey, a reminder that tonight on 60 Minutes, the first and only look inside the U.S. air war against ISIS, plus an interview with Vice President Biden, only on 60 Minutes tonight.
Got a little taste right there, Brian, of the old Oklahoma drill. One-on-one, Laurinaitis against Duke Johnson in the hole. Dan Campbell of the Miami Dolphins would be real excited to see that one.
Laurinaitis, the all-time leading tackler in franchise history. And that comes up short. Heavy pressure on McCown. He goes down. Laurinaitis made the point to us that we have to get the pressure on McCown. We can't allow him to step up.
Just straight domination inside by Aaron Donald. He runs right over the face mask of Joel Bitonio en route to the quarterback. I mean, as disruptive as it gets up there, Aaron Donald combined with the rest of this defensive line can frustrate any quarterback.
Donald right there in the middle, 99 Pro Bowler last year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. 3rd down and 8 for Cleveland. They're 2 out of 6 thus far. And McCown, he's got some time here. He steps up and fires a strike to Benjamin. And Benjamin out of bounds and a first down across midfield. Benjamin takes it to the 45. It's a 21-yard strike. McCown to his favorite wide receiver target.
Well, great protection right here, and that allows Benjamin to get some work done. I believe that's on Tremaine Johnson at the top of the screen, but it's really because of protection. Right there, McCown finds the time. Johnson falls down. Benjamin is able to get open, and a great job by McCown scanning the defense and finding number 11.
McCown now 13 completions. He's up over 100 yards. Quick handoff and met in the backfield. Aaron Donald. What a presence he is.
Well, they're trying to block back. I just don't know if you can make this block if you're the center. Right there, Alex Mack. They're trying to block back and then pull the guard to wrap around. Aaron Donald, just sometimes it gets silly. Number 99 having a great game again.
That takes us to the 2-minute warning. The Browns at the 45. They are trailing 10-3. Two teams desperate for a win. The Cleveland Browns at 2-4. The Rams at 2-3 coming off the bye week. And the Browns now at the 50-yard line after a 5-yard loss. And McCown able to get free. McCown directing traffic will now tuck it and run. And just a 1-yard gain, maybe 2. Good coverage there by the Rams secondary. McCown has 20 rushing yards. The rest of the team only 10. Greg Williams wanting to get pressure on him, flush him out. Cleveland has played well. They've moved the ball, but there's only 3 points on the board.
It's a tough Rams red zone defense. But here you go, 3rd and 13. Now the Browns have been great on 3rd down. Gary Barnidge has been the big play target for McCown on 3rd down this season.
And the
Ball
Rams.
start, number 75, offense. 5-yard penalty, third down.
Joel Bitonio this time. So 3 jumps in the line. Thomas, Bitonio, Schwartz has one. And Mike Pettine frustrated.
You think he's worried about number 99 on third down?
Just a little bit, right? Aaron Donald has 2 tackles in this game, but one of them has been for a 6-yard loss. The other was a sack. So that sets it up 3rd and 18 now. At the draw, Luke Johnson. And Johnson wrestled down by Donald once again. An interior lineman running down the field to make the play. That's his 3rd tackle. That'll set up a 3rd and 8.
Look at Joe Thomas come out here leading the way. I think that was on Mark Barron, number 26, and just throws him out of the club right there. Does a Gronkowski. And then tries to get a little bit on McLeod at the end of the play.
So a 4th down, I beg your pardon, 4th and 8, and they're going to go here. Minute 15 remaining in the first half. Browns are 3 out of 4 on 4th down this year, and we have a whistle and a flag. Or actually, I have a timeout. I beg your pardon.
Cleveland, first team
So
timeout.
Cleveland
32nd timeout.
takes their first timeout. Pettine didn't like what he saw there. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, JB, Bart Boomer, and Coach Cowher. They have all the latest NFL scores and highlights. A preview Thursday Night Football on CBS and the NFL Network. And that's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. And Pettine, again, thinking about this 4th down opportunity here. It looks like he's changed his mind.
I think it's an interesting decision. I think what influences him a little bit is the fact that his defense right now has been dominating St. Louis. But if you don't pick this up, now the Rams still around midfield. I think that's a risky proposition. I think wisely right now punts the ball away.
So Hekker, 12 of his 29 punts this year have put the opposition inside the 20. The Browns don't have a big-legged kicker. Travis Coons is very accurate, but doesn't give you the kind of distance that Zuerlein does. Almost a block, rugby-style punt, and a fair catch made by Austin. And the Rams will take over a 31-yard punt. Well, St. Thomas Aquinas High School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, has the distinction of having the most players in the NFL this year. There were 15 former players on NFL opening day rosters. The next closest high school had only 6. The Raiders are 6-1 this year. They're ranked number 3 in the state, and they've won 8 state championships and 2 national championships. And a couple of Rams defensive players are St. Thomas alumni, LaMarcus Joyner and Marcus Roberson, also the home of Michael Irvin and tennis star Chris Everett. 58 seconds left. Nick Foles and the Rams with a 10-3 lead and a handoff to Gurley. And Gurley just muscles his way near the 25 to the 24 he goes. 12-yard gain for Gurley. Puts him at 44 yards on 9 carries. Well, it's been a little over a month since the last home game here at the Edward Jones Dome, their last game against Pittsburgh. And I think everybody around here, Adam, wondering how many games they will have left in this franchise's history at this venue. Relocation has been a hot topic. NFL is hosting a town hall meeting Tuesday. That is a sold-out event. Could be very interesting. 3 teams basically, maybe 2 spots, maybe 1 in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I think it's tough. You know, obviously, in my heart, there's a piece of me here in St. Louis, and I think it would be tough to watch the Rams go, but I do also understand the business aspect of what's happening.
Out to Gurley, and his first catch across for a first down and a lot more. Across the 45-yard line, Todd Gurley out of the backfield. They wanted to get him into the passing game, and in the passing game he is.
Well, you don't really see this too often. This is Tim Barnes, the center, going up the middle and getting to the second level with a great block for Gurley.
23-yard gain. Rams have 2 timeouts. Gurley again tucks it. And to the 45 inside of Browns territory. And St. Louis is going to take a timeout. That'll give them one left. 16 seconds. Rams 10-3. Their lone touchdown was a fumble recovery for a touchdown by defensive back Rodney McLeod. Hey, the wait is over. The world premiere of Supergirl is just one day away. Be sure to see what everyone will be talking about. Supergirl premieres tomorrow after a new Big Bang Theory on CBS.
But here's the thing, if you're the St. Louis Rams, you're not a big play offense. And so far this year, you only have 8 big passing plays. So you got to make quick work here. Hopefully, maybe at the minimum, get in field goal position.
And Foles overshoots Tavon Austin. Now Jeff Fisher has a weapon in his kicker. He is not afraid to have Greg Zuerlein boot from 60, maybe even 65 if it called for it. His career long is 60 yards. That was 3 seasons ago. And the target line to 38. His leg about 10 yards stronger than what Mike Pettin has in Coons. We'll see. Third down. 3 yards to go for a first. Foles and another misfire. Tavon Austin looking for a penalty flag. Covered well by Dansby, or rather Kirksey there.
Yeah, I think it's here towards the end of the play. You're going to see Kirksey, the linebacker. Yeah, you see him put his arm right there on that shoulder pad, and it adjusts the body of Austin. I think he's got a good reason to complain right there.
All right, so Zuerlein, he's going to let it fly from 63 yards. It would be a career best, and it would give the Rams a 10-point lead. And that one is slicing. Had the leg, not the direction. 4 seconds remaining for Cleveland and Josh McCown. Got one chance to take a shot. What do? You take one, or you head into the halftime locker room?
Yeah, why not? You're in a place right here. You're around midfield. I don't think there's really any downside for trying to take a shot right here. I mean, it'll be a miracle, but
McCown with good completion numbers today. 13 out of 15. 102 yards. John DeFilippo calls it in. We'll see what they do. He's back in the shotgun. They bunch it up on the right. Benjamin, the lone receiver, to McCown's left. And McCown steps up, hit hard, incomplete. And that's what you worried about if you're John DeFilippo. But McCown, he's old school. He's up and running. Cleveland will have the ball to start the second half, and they're going to be down 7.
I like what Greg Williams did right there. Normally you're going to be in a prevent, but he says, we're going to send the house, put a shot in the quarterback.
That's the end of the first half. Rams 10, Browns 3. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. Halftime in St. Louis. The Rams lead the Browns 10-3. It has been a grinder of a ball game for each offense in this one. And now, Who Are You Loving? Presented by McDonald's. Janoris Jenkins knocks the ball loose. Rodney McLeod with a 20-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. That was just 3 minutes into the ball game. Hi, everybody. Brian Anderson and Adam Archuleta back in St. Louis. This is crazy because the offense does not have a touchdown. You've got a defensive touchdown. There's a lot of adjustments that need to be made here, I would guess.
Yep, and both defenses here today have been simply outstanding. The difference is the Rams, of course, have that defensive touchdown. I think if you're the St. Louis Rams on offense, you have to be able to sustain drives. You've been terrible so far today, 0 for 5 on third downs. And for Cleveland, they've got to play better at the offensive line. They've had some procedure penalties which have hurt, and they've allowed pressure to get to McCown. When they have protected McCown, he's been able to go downfield and complete passes.
And those are the numbers from the first half. Now, McCown is 13 out of 16 throwing the ball. He's got 105 yards. Gurley running for 45 yards, and a good amount of that yardage coming late there in the second quarter.
One thing you're seeing here, Brian, from Todd Gurley is more action in the passing game, something that they wanted to do to take advantage of his unique skill set out in space. He's done a good job of that.
Browns have the ball to start the second half. Zuerlein will kick it off. And a field goal in that first half. And you rarely get a return opportunity with Zuerlein, and it'll start at the 20 for Cleveland. How about our mid-game scoreboard, Adam?
Well, there hasn't been a lot of opportunities, but the Browns did not score a touchdown in their only trip in the red zone. They haven't really stopped Todd Gurley. They let him get loose there in the second quarter. The Rams offense has not been efficient. Their passing game has not been there, but their defense has been outstanding. They have made the Browns work for everything that they have had today. They've done a good job of locking down that wide receiving core.
And their average drive starting position has been the 18, so they're at the 20 to start this one. But they've had a drive start at the 8-yard line. That resulted in the fumble for a touchdown. Also had one begin at the 4 as McCown lets it loose and a man wide open. Barnidge finds some space and right out of the block in the second half. A big gainer of 27 yards. McCown to Barnidge.
This is a great adjustment. You normally see this route in the red zone. Gabriel's going to come here to the flat, and Barnidge is going to fake the out, but then he's going to turn up. And a great job by McCown stepping up inside the pocket, allowing Barnidge to beat Ayers with the double move, and then he hits his tight end.
Last week, Barnidge with 3 catches, but 2 of those were for touchdowns. And a hand to Turbin, the power back, finding some room on the outside, and rumbles down for a first down. Driving Trumaine Johnson to the ground. And Turbin, part of that 3-back mix for Cleveland.
Well, Malcolm Johnson, the 6th rounder out of Mississippi State, comes in here, puts a great block right there on Akeem Ayers, and that's what springs Robert Turbin to the outside. What a start here for Josh McCown in the Browns offense.
So back-to-back 22-yard gains here for Cleveland. And inside Rams territory. Right back with the tackle is Trumaine Johnson as Turbin gets the ball once again. Can you be effective if you're the Cleveland Browns offensively with 3 running backs who all require touches now? Turbin just getting back. They signed him off waivers from the Seahawks.
And he's still dealing with a bit of a high ankle sprain. He played 18 plays in the last week game because of the overtime. He was scheduled for only 10 plays, but they all have a different unique skill set, and that's John DeFilippo's task, is how to get his players to maximize what they do well.
Turbin had 10 carries last week against Denver. He's got another carry here, and he is drilled at the line of scrimmage. Laurinaitis, Hayes, Sims, all in there. Laurinaitis putting a pop on Turbin. 3rd downs today. Cleveland has converted on 3 occasions. One of those came on a penalty on the defensive line of the Rams.
Browns have been really good on 3rd down. Josh McCown coming into this game, the highest rated quarterback in the National Football League on 3rd down.
Turbin's back in there in the backfield. McCown steps back. McCown steps up. And a low throw caught by Benjamin. And he's put down. Sims coming back to make sure he didn't go 1 more yard. T.J. McDonald on the coverage as well. Set up a field goal try here for Cleveland.
Well, good job inside. Protection was good. McCown gets a little bit of time, but he can't locate anybody else downfield. He has to check it down to Travis Benjamin. And again, down in this part of the field, the Rams defense stepping up and forcing field goal attempts.
It'll be a 44-yard try for Travis Coons. And Coons remains perfect. 14 for 14 field goal attempts this year. It's 10-6. The Browns get on the board right out of the gates. And the starter and the backup, McCown there with Johnny Manziel. McCown's been a great influence on Manziel this year. Still clutching at his right elbow. That was something that we saw earlier in this game when he slipped and fell near the stands. And that drive ends in a field goal as Coons will kick it off. 10-6 now. Only touchdown of the game was that fumble recovery for a touchdown. And the Rams will begin at their 20. Hey, never miss a moment of football action with the CBS Sports app. Every play and score, every game and every highlight, right as they happen. Download the CBS Sports app now, cbssports.com/mobile. Not a whole lot going on for the St. Louis Rams. They have not been in the red zone as an offense yet.
No, they've really struggled. They had that one opportunity where they hit Jared Cook over the middle, but then they fumbled. But I think you have to credit Jim O'Neill's defense for coming out here today and really kind of taking it to this Rams offense. Look for Tavon Austin to have more impact here in the second half.
Foles, play action with Gurley, hits Tavon Austin. Good call, Adam. And Austin turns the corner, and he's got enough for a first down. Explosive, versatile receiver is Tavon Austin, but he's been slowed a little bit by a hamstring injury.
Yeah, he's just kind of that guy, kind of backyard football. Get him the ball, allow him to do what he needs to do. A great job by Robinson, the big tackle, to get out there and get a key block.
Second catch for Austin. He's got 17 yards. And a quicker pace for the Rams. Give it to Gurley. Slips through the front line, and there he goes. Gurley looking for an edge. Gurley's got the edge to the 40, down to the 30, and Gurley out of bounds with a big gainer. Game-changing running back Todd Gurley, and he strikes for a 48-yard pickup.
This is just a special run inside. Watch the amount of space that Gurley has to squeeze through. That is a tiny spot there. I believe that was Carlos Dansby. But you get a missed tackle by the defensive line, and then the vision and the cutback ability by Gurley to do the rest.
Already his 12th carry of more than 10 yards. This has been a Cunningham now, and he plows forward for a short gain.
Well, watch the block he gets on the right side of the screen right there. A nasty crack back block. That's Tavon Austin on Pierre Desir. And that's how you bring, you spring big runs. Wide receivers blocking down the field. Boy, number 30 is exciting to watch.
Foles on a 2nd and 6, dumps it out to Cunningham, and Cunningham's got some room. Cunningham out of bounds. Inside the 10, they'll mark that out at about the 7, maybe the 8-yard line. So the Rams getting good work out of their running backs, both running the ball and out of the backfield as receivers.
A little bit more action today for Benny Cunningham. Now taking more responsibility with Trey Mason out of the lineup.
Cunningham in the backfield again. He'll get the carry. And nothing there. Brought down hard. Dante Whitner in there on the tackle. John Hughes was there. First time in the red zone all day for St. Louis.
You know, that's the one thing that Mike Pettine and Jim O'Neill talked about with their run defense, is the fact that they've been good time and time and time, but it's just that big one that keeps getting out against their defense. But you look at that hole, only a special back can make the cut that Gurley made to get that big explosive run.
Gurley sitting on 93 yards on 10 carries after that 48-yard run. Second goal, and down he goes. Starks come flying through, and a sack for this Browns defensive line. There's been few and far between. That's the first of the day.
Yeah, too many free hitters inside this year for the St. Louis Rams, and that Jamon Brown, the rookie, playing over there at that right guard spot. Randy Starks dominates him, and remember, Brown is moving over to the right side where he started in training camp. He was over on the left side, but when Roger Saffold went down with that injury against Green Bay, they switched him over. You got two rookies on the right side of that offensive line.
Still 3rd and goal now, but a 17-yard play to get it to the end zone, and he overshoots Jared Cook. So Foles too high, and a promising drive for the Rams is now going to result in a field goal try.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Just missed opportunities twice now in this game. The Rams with momentum. But it was a Cleveland Browns defensive player. Earlier it was Dante Whitner punching the ball out of Jared Cook. This time it was Randy Starks getting the big sack. But it's those critical errors in key times that is stopping this offense from being able to score.
Zuerlein from 35. And that one slices no good. So Zuerlein with the big leg with a couple of misses in his last 2 tries. His first one was from 63. This one should be money in the bank. It is not. And it is still 10-6 St. Louis.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency. Low fares, nothing to hide. Toyota. Let's go places. And by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com.
Well, 2 drives into this second half. A lot of action, but nothing to show for it. How about the Browns and the Rams combining for over 360 total yards, 0 offensive touchdowns. The only touchdown was a fumble recovery for a touchdown. And the second drive of the half for the Browns.
False start, number 81, offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Trey hit for the penalty. How about St. Louis defensively, Adam?
It's been a great blend of blitzing and then the 4-man rush, getting after that Cleveland Browns defense. This is an aggressive defense today. Janoris Jenkins making some big plays. Up front, they're having a really hard time with the penetration skills of Aaron Donald, and that's going to be the key this half. Can this offensive line protect McCown?
The power runner, Turbin's back in there. Nice cut, finding some space. And it gets to the next level. There's a flag down. So Turbin.
Holding, number 82, offense.
Man. Well, for the Browns.
10-yard penalty, still first down.
Penalty starting to creep up there. Both tight ends have been hit for penalties in this drive.
I think this one's pretty close. I'm not quite sure. Gary Barnidge on Ethan Westbrooks at the top of the screen up here. I mean, that's calling it pretty fine right there. I think that's a tough call on Gary Barnidge. Maybe he had a little tiny grab inside. His hands were inside. I think that's a tough break.
Well, Dre and Barnidge with penalties. 6 penalties for 37 yards thus far for Cleveland. And it's going to set up a very long first down. 1st and 25. They are back inside their own 10-yard line. McCown's going to give it to Turbin again. Turbin has been the workhorse in the running game for Cleveland in this second half.
Well, the one thing that you have seen now, 1st and 25, you're in a difficult situation here if you're the Cleveland Browns, but good success here in the 3rd quarter running the football. And it's a formula that the Washington Redskins had against this Rams defense a few weeks ago. And I think that's something that they have to look at as this game goes on, when they get into better down and distance, continuing to pound this defense with a running game.
Turbin stays back there. He's got 5 carries, 4 of them in the second half. Pressure, McNown can't step up. Oh, what a catch! Gary Barnidge at 6'6", needing all of that frame, and he pulls it down. What a play by Barnidge. 33-yard pickup for the Browns and a first down.
Well, Ethan Westbrooks loops around to the inside. The Browns fail to pick it up. He gets a huge shot from Josh McCown. And when we talked to Josh McCown about the connection that he had with Gary Barnidge, and he said, look, it's the one guy I have on this team that I could put it up and make him go up and get it. The one big target that I have that time, Barnidge gets up and comes down with a big play.
Big conversion for Cleveland. Turbin's got it again. Nowhere to go. Ethan Westbrooks in on the tackle. Barnidge just having one of those years. He said he's always been a backup. Check the penalty.
Number 74, offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Well, Barnidge maybe have the craziest catch of the season for sure, but he's had some acrobatic moments so far this year. But this one right here takes the cake.
That one was a huge one. That one was pretty unbelievable. And then here today, again, they're going to him here in this second half, recognizing maybe a soft spot in that Rams defense around the hash marks.
They asked Barnidge on that play against Baltimore, did you catch it? He goes, yeah, I caught it with my legs. Duke Johnson in the backfield. McCown steps back. He's got some time to throw. He steps up and fires, and the ball in the air, in and out of the hands of Benjamin. Good coverage there by Janoris Jenkins, who's making an impact on this game.
He's all over the field. This is a dangerous pass by McCown because he holds it, he double clutches it, and there's a lot of traffic underneath. The St. Louis Rams playing zone coverage right there. He gets great protection for once, has to get it over Mark Barron, but then Jenkins with a great break on the football, and because of the lateness of the throw, it gave Jenkins time to come in there and break up that pass.
That'll set up a long second down 20. And McCown, pump fake. McCown to the sideline, and right there is Barnidge, and he powers his way across. Nice gain, but still some work to do for third down.
Well, it's the one thing that we said after halftime about this offense. Too many penalties on first down has killed them, and they were able to overcome it earlier on this drive. But now here, for the second time in a row, 1st and 20, 2nd and 20, that's just too much to overcome. Now you're in a better position in 3rd and 9, but you got to believe that the Rams defensively have the advantage when you have 9 yards to go.
See what kind of play John DeFilippo draws up here. 3rd down 9. 5.5 left in the third quarter. McCown for the deep ball down the sideline. Benjamin caught, and it is a catch in bounds. Another big play by the Browns. McCown to Benjamin.
Well, Travis Benjamin
Still 3rd down.
seems to do this every single week. You see Johnson right there, and it does look like he got the feet down.
Boy, they had a late call here, a holding on Joe Thomas, and a huge penalty negates a big gainer for Cleveland. 2nd on Thomas. He's one of the best in the business.
I do think it was a good call. You're going to see Joe Thomas right here, and he just kind of tackles Robert Quinn at the end of the play. I mean, that's a tough call for Cleveland, negating another big play, but that one is plain as day. A marquee matchup right there on the edge between two great players.
Well, 8 penalties, 4 of them already in the second half. And McCown steps up, drops it underneath to Duke Johnson. A little shake and bake, and he is near midfield. So close. He's going to come up about 5 yards short. McDonald and Barron combining on the tackle, and the drive stalls. St. Louis giving up a number of big plays, but costly penalties by the Browns in that drive.
And I think that's really the big story, and that's the one reason why the Browns haven't been able to get on track today. But how about Travis Benjamin? This guy has flourished this year in this offense. Not only running deep and making great catches, but now working on his route running and becoming a complete receiver.
Handed Lee end over end punt, and Tavon Austin will fair catch it. Late decision there, but this drive will begin at about the 12 on a 41-yard punt. A lot of yards being chewed up, penalties, not a lot of scoring here in St. Louis. Next Sunday, the NFL on CBS rocks regional games. In one matchup, the Bengals take on the Steelers, while the Chargers will have the Ravens. The Titans and the Texans, or the Jets, show off with the Raiders. Check local listings beginning with your Super Bowl 50 team. JB, Tony, Bart, Coach, and Boomer on the NFL Today.
Well, this Cleveland defense, not really known for their sack ability, but they've been able to harass Nick Foles today, and that's a big reason why this offense for St. Louis has not been able to get on track. And anytime they have been able to get in any scoring position whatsoever, it's been the Browns defense stepping up and making a big play.
Costly penalties for Cleveland. Now St. Louis takes over. Foles, a beautiful ball there, caught Austin. And Austin falls down. Whitner closed on him. But a tight spiral right on the nose for Nick Foles. He needed to see that one completed.
Very soft coverage outside. Inside leverage by Tramon Williams. And watch how Austin gets him to get out of his back pedal and then quickly breaks off the route. Good throw by Foles.
Ends up as a 21-yard gain. Here's Gurley, and he's met at the line of scrimmage. The big story coming into this one, Adam, was the rushing defense of the Browns, which is poor, last in the NFL, and the emergence of Gurley and the running game of the Rams.
And they've done a terrific job outside of that one play that Gurley was able to break off. But the good thing for this defense, even though they got gashed on that play, they were able to turn it around and forced a missed field goal.
On 2nd and 10. And Kenny Britt. And there the flag comes. Pierre Desir is in the starting lineup today with the injuries to the Browns secondary.
Pass
Tashawn Gibson.
interference, number 26 defense, automatic first down.
Joe Hayden and Tashawn Gibson are out, and Desir hit for the pass interference.
Yeah, Desir, who's really worked hard and earned the opportunity to start right here, was locked up man-to-man with Kenny Britt and was in great position, but because that ball was underthrown, and Desir wouldn't let Britt get back to the ball.
And another deep ball by Foles. Kenny Britt, a catch! And just short of the end zone by inches. 41-yard hookup. Foles to Kenny Britt. Boy, that was close to a touchdown on the 1-inch line here.
Boy, that's the one thing as we see this Kenny Britt. Is he able to get in the end zone? Boy, that's going to be tough right there. But all the Browns talked about, Carlos Dansby, Jim O'Neill, they talked about the big arm from Nick Foles.
Wow.
And Kenny Britt, who's been absent from the offense here in the last 2 games, comes down with a big play.
2 big plays here. Now Foles, ball given to Gurley, easy as it gets. Todd Gurley, NFL touchdown number 1 for the rookie from Georgia. Britt set him up, and Gurley is in the end zone for the first time in his NFL career in game number 4.
Well, great block by number 46, a fan favorite here. Corey Harkey to seal it out outside, and Gurley, easy walk-in for a touchdown.
And now Zuerlein to try to put the Rams up 11. The extra point is good. And the first offensive touchdown of the day, a 41-yard catch by Britt, sets up the first touchdown in the NFL for Todd Gurley.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx, solutions that matter. And by Pennzoil Synthetics. Make the switch to Pennzoil Pure Plus Synthetics today.
Back in the Dome in St. Louis, and Todd Gurley capping off a scoring drive for the Rams. First touchdown of the day by the offense, his first touchdown in the NFL, and Todd Gurley chewing up the yards now at 94 yards. Big plays for St. Louis. They finally got locked in the pocket in this second half after they sputtered in half number 1 as Zuerlein bangs it through the back of the end zone. And the Rams with an 11-point lead. Does McCown and the Browns have a comeback in them today in St. Louis? Well, you figure going to see a whole lot more of Todd Gurley. 94 yards thus far. The Browns have the ball and the Rams have a lead, and that's something that Greg Williams was excited to explore moving forward after the bye week.
Yeah, we talked about it, the fact that he is the #1 blitzing defensive coordinator in the National Football League. And I said, well, when you're coming up with a game plan and you got a front four like this, why do you blitz? And he says, well, we got to manufacture some stuff in close games, but boy, if we ever get a lead around here, watch what these guys can do. Of course, they don't have Chris Long in this game, the other member of that fantastic front four, but they love to be able to get after the passer in these situations.
Zero in on the Browns now. Cleveland down 11, 2:12 remaining in this third quarter, and McCown, a perfect strike. Rodney McLeod on the coverage, Andrew Hawkins. McLeod with a big hit there.
Great job setting up the play action pass on first down, getting the linebackers to react. And Andrew Hawkins coming down, taking a big hit right there, keeping his hands on the football.
John DeFilippo called Hawkins his best route runner, and he finds good space there. A lot of big plays, big gainers offensively for the Browns. And a rollout. There's Dre. Dre is down. Mark Barron, defensive back turned linebacker, matched up with Dre. Set up 2nd and 5 here for Cleveland. Cleveland just has not been able to push across. That kind of sums up their season. They've been in a lot of close games. Their last 3 games have ended on the final play. 2 of those were losses. Had an overtime win in Baltimore 2 weeks ago, week 5. Hard line in motion. 2nd down 5. And a fake, and down he goes. A sack. Westbrooks this time. Sack number 3 for the Rams.
Another free hitter pretty much right here by Westbrooks in getting to McCown. What they were trying to do is set up the screen and go outside to Benjamin, but that was played very well right here. There was nowhere for McCown to throw the football, and he has to take the sack.
First sack of the year for Ethan Westbrooks, getting playing time in the absence of Chris Long. 3rd and 13 now. McCown's got time and finds a receiver, Duke Johnson. And Johnson pushes his way near the marker, but it's going to come up short. It was close, and that takes us to the end of the 3rd quarter. 17-6 Rams. We'll return to St. Louis after this message and a word from your local station. Flip the field. We head to the 4th quarter. 17-6. The Rams get the first offensive touchdown of this game. Todd Gurley with a 1-yard run. And the Rams able to hold serve on that Browns offensive possession, and a punt will begin the 4th quarter, and that one almost stays in. It is going to be a touchback. Austin picked it up, took off and ran with it. Batamosi almost had a chance to pin him deep. All right, Todd Gurley, he's been a story, especially in the 2nd half, and there's a little symbolism here with each of his starts. He's been a 2nd half runner.
Yeah, he's got that uncommon blend of speed and power. And they keep feeding him. They featured him early in the game in that 2nd quarter out of the backfield. And then again for the 3rd game in a row, busting out a big play, getting into the secondary and getting that very first touchdown. This guy is a special player. It's a treat to watch.
You figure this is Gurley time now. First 3 carries, -2 yards. His last 9, he's gone for 96, totaling 94. Gurley has already rushed for 179 4th quarter yards. And with the lead, Gurley is going to get the heavy workload. Chance for an update. We check in with New York and JB.
Pittsburgh within striking distance.
Landry Jones hits his favorite target, Martavius Bryant, for the 19-yard score as Pittsburgh narrows the gap 10-16 in Kansas City.
Late in the 3rd, back to Bryant and Adam.
All right, thanks, JB. 2nd down 5 here. Gurley once again. And we got a flag down. Pittsburgh was here the last time the Rams had a home game about a month ago. They had a victory here. That was the famous Field on Fire game. Pre-game pyro caught the field on fire.
There's no foul for a chop block, as it was a run to that side of the field. 2nd down.
There's still a little spot down there as the Rams came onto the field, and a little bit of the field caught on fire down there on the bottom right. Steelers won that game here in St. Louis. So no penalty. 3rd down, 3 yards to go for a first. Gurley has hit 100 yards. And Foles dumps it off to Gurley, who is met quickly. Dansby had a couple of interceptions last week against Denver.
What a great play by Carlos Dansby. He was bluffing up in the line of scrimmage to the right side. He read that play from the opening, right from the snap, and is right on top of it. No place for Gurley to go. Carlos Dansby is so good in the passing game as a linebacker.
And the Rams are still 0 for in third down conversions. Johnny Hekker sends one toward the sideline. And that's where the drive will begin. 4th down, 13-17 left. And the Browns are down 11 with the ball. Well, coming up on the Subway postgame show, join JB, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher. They've got all the latest NFL scores and highlights, and it's all coming up on the Subway postgame show. Browns have the ball, 4th quarter, down 11. Josh McCown has thrown for 223 yards. And he gives the ball to Crowell. Turbin's been getting most of the carries in this second half. Well, the Browns shot themselves in the foot in a lot of areas. Penalties, Adam. They have had a couple of big plays called back with those penalties.
Yeah, Brian, that's really been the story. They've kind of done it to themselves. Now, the Rams defensively have been terrific, but they just haven't been able to string together a group of plays consecutively. Every time something big happens and they're able to get the ball downfield, it's either a penalty or a sack or something negative that zaps all of their momentum.
Well, McCown and the Browns have been good in the 4th quarter this year. Remember, they were down 21-19 on the road in Baltimore. Flag is down, and almost intercepted. Mark Barron got a hand on it.
I think it's going to be a offsides.
Looks like they might have got Aaron Donald. We'll see here.
I think it was number 99 just trying to get off too fast.
Pete Morelli getting the information.
There are 2 fouls on the play, and it's offside. That penalty will be the personal foul, roughing the passer, number 98. That penalty will be accepted. 15 yards, automatic, first down.
Wow, that is a big one. Nick Fairley with the personal foul, driving him to the ground. Good call.
Yeah, you're not going to get away with that. They don't take too kindly to pile driving quarterbacks in this league. 10 years ago.
10 years ago, it's an attaboy, and not so much anymore. That turns out to be a very costly penalty. So first down. Cleveland with just 2 field goals today. And McCown rips one across the middle. Benjamin there with a catch. And the ball is loose, and it's picked up by St. Louis. Fairley, the man with the foul, comes up with the fumble. Another huge turnover for Cleveland. T.J. McDonald dislodged the ball. Benjamin gives it away. Bam! St. Louis ball. 17-6 in the 4th.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Hyundai, an official sponsor of the NFL. And by AT&T. DirecTV and AT&T are now one, bringing television and wireless together.
Big play in this game. Travis Benjamin on a catch, but a fumble, and the big man. Little redemption for Nick Fairley, covering about 20 yards to recover that fumble. Now the jet sweep. Here's Austin. He's got some room to run. Tavon Austin out of bounds. Plenty for a first down. And the Rams rolling now here in the 4th. Let's go back to the turnover, Adam.
Well, it's all about running to the football. Mark Barron is right here, and I believe Nick Fairley is right here. Now, Travis Benjamin is going to catch the ball back in this area. But watch as Barron and Fairley turn and run to the football from inside out. You got T.J. McDonald coming in there, and then Fairley hustling down the field to get down there and pick up that football. That is excellent team defense by the St. Louis Rams.
Well, I like your call there, too. Barron, the one maybe dislodged that. McDonald was there, but Barron pops it loose as Gurley for little to no gain on first down. Well, the defense for the Rams have come to play today. They've got takeaways. One of them led to a touchdown. Remember, early in the game, just 3 minutes into this game, A fumble from Taylor Gabriel on a catch. And Rodney McLeod goes in for the score, and now a costly turnover for Cleveland here.
That's exactly what James Laurinaitis said they needed to do to take their defense, which has been improving in the last 2 games, to the next step.
Gabriel, McCown, Benjamin, all with fumbles. Foles hit Tavon Austin. Austin down near the 25-yard line. It's going to be close to a first down for St. Louis. Come up about a yard short. Jim O'Neill, defensive coordinator. I can't imagine. Those two have both had fumbles today, Gabriel and Benjamin. Now Foles looking for the knockout punch here. With an 11-point lead. Rams are 0 for 7 on 3rd down, and there is number 1. Gurley just powers his way to a first down. And the Rams move the chains. Gurley keeps chewing up the yards. 16 carries, 107 yards for the rookie runner. Jeff Fisher is so high on Gurley. They were patient. Had ACL surgery last year. He came back in 11 months. Not wearing the brace today on the left knee. First game that he has played without the knee brace. Foles get out and brought down quickly. And Foles will take a seat. Desmond Bryant with the sack. Second for Cleveland of the game. What happened here, Adam?
It's a miscommunication. Foles saw that he had the numbers to quickly get the ball outside, but his wide receiver out there, I couldn't quite see who that was. It might have been Kenny Britt. Was not on the same page that time. He had to eat it and take a sack.
2nd and 14 now for St. Louis. Clock ticks, approaching the 9-minute mark in regulation here. Foles dumps it off short to Gurley. Gurley explodes through down to the 20-yard line. Nice pickup for Gurley, who's been able to be utilized out of the backfield as a receiver today, really for the first time. 4th reception for Gurley. He's got 35 yards through the air here today. Those are the numbers. The rushing yards at 107 puts him 33 yards short of matching an NFL record. We'll get into that if he gets close. Foles. And he's got Austin there, and a flag comes in. Interference is the call.
Well, if that's interference, I know Foles took a shot in the pocket by Christian Kirksey, but I thought K'Waun Williams was in great shape right there. He was in perfect position, and would be shocked if they called
Holding,
pass interference.
number 36 defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So they get the hold on K'Waun Williams, and a first down for St. Louis.
Yeah, you're going to see Austin come out right there in the break. He's got his hand on his hip right there, but in my eyes, it's hard to see if he actually grabbed anything, but he didn't alter the body of Austin. That's it. In my eyes, Brian, and these are my eyes, that's a pretty ticky-tacky call right there.
Well, it does set up the Rams. So at the 16-yard line, first down, Foles gives to Gurley. Gurley around the edge, a quick cut. Gurley inside the 5, and Gurley with a touchdown! 16-yard touchdown run for Todd Gurley. And the Rams open it up here in the second half.
The patience, the feel, great block outside. Justice Cunningham, Tavon Austin getting a kick-out block in the secondary. Broken tackles. Todd Gurley just too much right now for the Browns defense.
What a huge turnover for the Browns. Travis Benjamin fumble, sets up a touchdown for St. Louis. And it is 24-6. The Todd Gurley second half show continues. Running wild. Gurley now 123 yards. The second of his 2 touchdowns today. 2 weeks, 2 top teams. The Dolphins meet Brady and the Patriots on CBS and NFL Network. And then it is the Browns against the unbeaten at this point Bengals, only on NFL Network. Cleveland's in this stretch here of 3 games in 12 days. So here's the note we're talking about here. And now Gurley's getting close. He is at 123 yards. He's 17 yards away, becoming only the second rookie in the history of the NFL to rush for 140 or more yards in 3 consecutive games. And he's also second in franchise history with Eric Dickerson.
It's really kind of amazing, especially when you consider the fact that they have struggled to get their passing game going, and they've been very one-dimensional.
Chance to return one here. Zerline's kick comes up a little bit short, and Justin Gilbert is bottled up inside the 15-yard line. Todd Gurley and the St. Louis Rams up 24-6, 8:07 in the 4th.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Dish. The Dish 2-year price lock. Go to dish.com to learn more. And by Subway, the mouth-watering chicken and bacon ranch. Subway, eat fresh.
Ah, yes, it's that time. Chocolate chip cookies for the truck dwellers. Got to push them through. Need a finishing kick. Jim Rickoff, Chris Vinson, and our great crew here in St. Louis. 24-6. This game being defined right now for the Cleveland Browns. Turnovers and penalties. 3 costly fumbles for them.
It has. It's just the mistakes, and they've had a chance to get things going. They've had some positive plays, some big plays, but the penalties and the turnovers, every time something big happens, have stopped the offense from doing anything.
Now remember, the Rams defense, a top 10 pass defense, and a great rush. And there's Gabriel, who had the first of the 3 fumbles. Mark Barron, DB turned linebacker on the stop. Good gainer on first down, but the Browns need to go. They need to go fast. They're down 24-6.
A lot of work to do right here for Mike Pettine's football team. He cannot be happy with the self-destructive plays that his offense has done.
McCown finds Duke Johnson out of the backfield, and Johnson stretches his way to a first down. Janoris Jenkins with the tackle.
Well, this has been the story of the game. It started out early. Janoris Jenkins forcing the Taylor Gabriel fumble. Rodney McLeod turns it in for the touchdown. Pressure on Josh McCown. Another fumble and another big double hit by the Rams secondary, forcing the last fumble of Travis Benjamin.
McCown across the middle. He's got Barnage. So chewing up yards. That'll be right near the first down marker. Should be enough for a first down, and it is. Again, Mark Barron on the tackle.
And one thing about those turnovers is they've been forced turnovers. Yeah. The Rams have gone out there and been physical, and they've made plays, and the secondary has been flying around. So credit the Rams defense for going out there and creating those forced takeaways.
Now the Rams are 17 points off those turnovers. Duke Johnson once again, that's his 7th catch, and it's another first down. So the Rams giving a little up front. Bend but don't break mentality.
This is the point in the game right now where you want to give more cushion outside, and you want to let that front 4 get after the quarterback. No reason to take any unnecessary risks. You've got the score and time on your side on defense now, and you got to make the Browns march down the field and earn every yard.
Duke Johnson with 7 receptions for 72 yards now. Barnage is their leading receiver. He's up over 100. McCown, empty backfield, lets it fire. Looked like his arm got hit. And McCown is down. That was Mark Barron who made the contact. And Johnny Manziel puts the helmet on.
Well, just when I say they're not going to be aggressive, Greg Williams runs a pick blitz, and Mark Barron comes untouched, goes high on Josh McCown. Maybe I'm a little surprised in today's climate right there that wasn't flagged.
Well, McCown,
I tell you, I don't think Mike Pettine has been on the right side of the flags here today.
there was a penalty on the play. It was a holding on Jenkins, by the way, but not the one you're calling for. That looked like had a chance. The personal foul. Little draw. Duke Johnson. Yeah, good tackle there by Mark Barron. Saves a big gainer. Second down and 4 for McCown. Barron with the big hit on McCown. McCown, as Jeff Fisher says, an old school quarterback. This guy is tough.
He is.
On a couple of occasions where you thought he might be coming out. Second and 4, again across the middle. And that went in and out of the hands of Barnidge. Back to the hit, Adam.
Yeah, I'm a little curious right here. You're going to watch Mark Barron come in here. McCown gets rid of the football. The arm is, his helmet looks like it's right under the arm. Maybe he doesn't hit him in the face mask. Borderline call right there, but
I give credit to Ethan Westbrooks on that play as well. He was in there just ahead of Barron on the blitz. Third down. Got to be 4-down territory at this point with 5.5 remaining in regulation. And McCown, he'll let it fly to the middle, and it's knocked away. Trumaine Johnson. Heck of a play in the defensive backfield. And that will set up a 4th down for Cleveland.
Offside. Number 20, defense, 5-yard penalty. The result of the penalty is a first down.
Wow, another penalty comes in, 4th down.
yeah, the Rams are struggling with penalties right here. Getting offsides. LaMarcus Joyner is blitzing off the slot, fails to time it up. And after a great play down the field by Johnson, the Rams again have to try and stop 1st and 10.
Yeah, so instead of 4th and 4, it goes to 1st and 10. Into Rams territory. 37-yard line. Robert Turbin now in the backfield. And McCown flush to the right. McCown will throw it out of bounds. Benjamin the target. Well, McCown doing all he can to try to get the Browns in the end zone. It's been a very physical series for him. You'll see the Browns offense, a lot of numbers there. 339 yards. They're averaging nearly 6, but they have not scored a touchdown. 2 field goals. That's been it. And McCown on 2nd and 10, and that ball was hit from behind, and that ball is loose, recovered by St. Louis. A fumble. Eugene Sims on the fumble by McCown. It looked like William Hayes is the one who knocked it free.
Yeah, he does. William Hayes on the right side here, number 95. He just sticks that right arm as Mitchell Schwartz is trying to ride him past the quarterback, has the instincts to go at McCown's arm and gets that ball out.
Yeah,
I don't know, was that a forward pass?
That motion going forward, that could be interesting here.
Oh, that's real close. He made contact with the arm before the arm was going forward, but McCown, before the ball came out, started the forward motion with his pass.
Well, that one's right
I don't know.
on the borderline. This is as slow as we can make it. It looked like Hayes might have popped the ball free from McCown's hand.
I think
it is confirmed as a fumble now, Adam.
Yeah, when you look at it, I think the ball was moving right when Hayes hit the elbow.
Yeah, 4 fumbles lost today, 5 punts, and a lot of yards offensively, but just the 2 field goals. McCown looks like he is really shaken up. Foles will give it to Gurley. And that last play, interesting. Let's check in with Mike Carey and get his opinion on what he saw here. Mike?
Yes, if you look from behind, when the elbow is hit by the defender, the ball starts to roll, so the quarterback ends up throwing an empty hand. So that is a fumble confirmed on the field, and I would have done the same.
All right, Mike, thanks. Yep. Yeah, just pushed it forward, I guess. So no challenge even comes. Medical staff still tending to Josh McCown.
Yeah, he's taking a beating here. He took a beating last week. He got hit 13 times against that Denver defense. He's been hit multiple times here today.
Gurley now 14 yards away from matching an NFL record. 3 consecutive games of 140 yards or more. All right, coming up on the Subway postgame show, join JB, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cower. All the latest scores and highlights from the NFL. That's all coming up. The Subway postgame show. McCown clutching at that right arm, going way back into the first half as well, when he slipped and fell.
I think on that blitz by Mark Barron, you remember McCown's arm was up over his head, and Barron hit him right under that arm as he drove him to the ground.
Might be the end of the day for McCown. Stedman Bailey with a catch and a stiff arm, pushed out of bounds by Desir, and a flag comes in. Pete Morelli has called a lot of key penalties in this one today. And Morelli wants a discussion. Yep, McCown on his way out. 36 years of age, and he's had a great
Personal
year.
Foul, grabbing the face mask. Number 12, the offense. 15-yard penalty. Remains third down.
On that stiff arm by Bailey. So Johnny Manziel will get some reps here in this fourth quarter.
You can stiff arm the face mask, but you see him right there pushing that face mask up, and that's where they call the foul.
And so the personal foul will back him up. And McCown on his way out. Cleveland has Arizona next at home next Sunday, and then that Thursday night matchup against Cincinnati. Well, Manziel came in for the injured McCown in week 1 against the Jets. Made a start, got a win in that start in week 2. So he's got about a game and 3/4 under his belt. See what's going on the field here. I think Pete Morelli just wanted to make sure the spot was accurate. And it's going to set up a 3rd and 12 now. Benny Cunningham in the backfield for the Rams. Rams at 2-3, chance to move it to 3-3 here. And a division that is certainly winnable. Another flag comes in after the Cunningham carry. Morelli's asking the Browns and Mike
Holding.
Pettine.
Number 73, offense. Penalties declined. 4th down.
So that'll set up a 4th down and a punt for St. Louis.
A lot of flags out there today, Brian.
A lot of flags.
Oh my goodness. They are getting their work in today.
8 penalties for the Rams. The Browns with 10 penalties. There have been 18 accepted penalties in this game. Johnny Hecker will punt it away. And a high spiraling kick. And another flag comes down. And it's going to be Johnny Manziel for the final 3:26 of this one. Fans starting to voiced their displeasure with all the penalties. Morelli gets the spot lined up on the punt. I'm just waiting on the call here. Johnny Manziel is anxious to get this drive going.
Well, I think what happened was Bradley Marquez was the gunner on the left side of the formation, and he went out of bounds. So the question is, did he go out of bounds on his own?
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 15. Of the kicking team, player went out of bounds, did not come back in a reasonable time. 15-yard penalty to be added at the end of the kick, first down.
Yeah, you're going to see Bradley Marquez
down in the bottom.
I mean, he's right here.
So the photographers, the ball boys, the parabolic mic. Okay, that makes sense now.
I understand going in the white where there's nobody there, but you're going over there on the bench. There's a lot of traffic out there.
All right, well, Johnny Manziel and Adam, we've talked a lot this week and talked to the Browns and Mike Pettin and John DeFilippo. Every time on the field is a bonus for Johnny Manziel and his progression as an NFL quarterback. He's got Turbin back there with him. And he dumps it off to Turbin, who cuts it up near the first down.
Well, I got a chance to do Johnny Manziel in his first start of the season in week 2 against the Tennessee Titans, and he did a lot of really good things in that game. And when you talked to John DeFilippo, the offensive coordinator, he said when Johnny comes in the game, we do not scale back. He is much more mature and understands what we're trying to do.
And he hits again. Taylor Gabriel on the reception. Manziel with 3 touchdown passes this year for DeFilippo. He does have an interception. Well, although he's had some highly publicized off-field trouble, and even as recently as a couple of weeks ago, the Browns, they rave about what he's been able to do at the complex, and Josh McCown's been a big mentor for him from the football side of things. And they asked Josh McCown about the situation coming to Cleveland. He goes, look, if I play well and I'm the starter, great. If not, I'll take great pride in preparing Johnny Manziel to be a quarterback in this league. And that was the answer that the Browns wanted to hear. But it has been McCown's team up to this point. He's had a terrific season. And Manziel, there's a flag down in the backfield.
Holding, number 75 offense. 10-yard penalty, remains second down. Timeout, 2-minute warning.
And to the 2-minute warning we go. Now the Browns once again doing a lot of good things, but not able to get the ball in the end zone when it counted. Well, Johnny Manziel, chance to run the offense a little bit and taking a lot of short passes, just trying to get him comfortable, it seems. Rams in control. They've had a big second half. Todd Gurley rushing for 128 yards today on 19 carries. And the Rams trying to go back to 500 as Manziel is chased, and Manziel stays alive long enough to throw it away. That'll set up a long third down for Manziel in there for the injured McCown. So Gurley and the Rams, he's given them a new dimension offensively, Adam, and this division is the division of hope, right? This is a winnable division here.
Yeah, I think so. You look at it, it's kind of interesting the way the NFL is shaping up. So many of the division leaders are so out there in front, but I do think that if the Rams can continue playing the way they're playing, that it's going to be very interesting in December between them and the Seattle Seahawks playing for possible wild card spot.
And that'll be a Week 16 matchup as Hartline on the catch from Manziel. Be a Week 16 matchup between the Rams and the Seahawks. They also have the Cardinals earlier in the month of December, but St. Louis is already 2-0. They've beaten Seattle. They've beaten Arizona.
Jeff Fisher always seems to be able to dominate the NFC West, so it's going to be very interesting here in the last 2 months of the season.
4th down and 6. Manziel being chased from the middle. Manziel gets free and he's on the run and he slides down. And a hard hit. close to a first down. Eugene Sims. And they are on the stop.
Good pressure up inside. Johnny Manziel sidestepping it. And it looks like...
Well, that was Joyner who came in late.
Yeah, I think he might have missed him, though. I think he got lucky right there, pulling off at the last second.
I guess it all depends on who you hit when you come in late, right? As long as you miss the quarterback. Well, not enough for the Browns. So that face tells it all. Second-year head coach Mike Pettin.
They had, I mean, the mistakes in this game are just too many to count. The early turnover, getting off on that in a hole, 2 turnovers to start the game offensively. And then again, their just inability, anytime they had something positive or a big play for their offense, something happened in the next 2 or 3 snaps to put them in another hole. It's just too much to try and climb out of. And as well as the Rams were playing defensively, you just can't afford those kind of mistakes on offense.
Well, Todd Gurley will remain on the sidelines. Don't forget, we got bonus coverage coming up. They've got a thriller going. The Patriots and the Jets. New England trying to remain undefeated, trying to move to 6-0. And to a knee goes Nick Foles. Gurley's going to come up a little short on a record. He'll finish with 128 yards. But how about the keys today, and what'd you see from these two?
Not a lot of opportunities for Cleveland, but they didn't capitalize in the red zone. They definitely did not stop Todd Gurley. The Rams offense better in the second half passing. Remember that touchdown drive, 2 big ones to Kenny Britt. One was an interference, and then defensively, not only did they not give up big plays, but they made big plays. Excellent performance from Greg Williams' defense.
Those 3 big fumbles. Gabriel, McCown, Benjamin turning into 17 points for St. Louis. And the Rams and Jeff Fisher, they go back to 500, their 3rd win of the year. Gurley continues to roll. His 3rd consecutive start today goes for 128. The Rams will have the Niners next right here in the Dome, and then they go to Minnesota on the road. And at 3-3, they've got their sights set on the first postseason appearance as Rams head coach for Jeff Fisher. 24-6. The final score, and a couple of home games after the bye for Jeff Fisher and the Rams. 2 field goals, that was it for Cleveland offensively. And Gurley with a big second half, including a 48-yard run. Nick Foles, 15 for 23, goes for 163 yards. 24-6 the final. Subway postgame show is next. For Adam Archuleta, I'm Brian Anderson. So long from St. Louis. You've been watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50.